ridiculous.
Well, here's the thing.
Maybe. Sometimes.
Tell me about this. I want to know more.
Oh, yeah. No.
Holy cow.
We've had a lot of fun.
Cold. I am so cold. I'm huddled over my cup of tea here. I'm burning my little hands on the side of it because it's cold in this room. It just like all of a sudden, it's cold.
But wait, quick question. You said that you were going to duck out for 2 minutes and make tea. How do you make tea in 2 minutes?
Keurig. I just Keurig. Oh, it's probably more than 2 minutes, but
that wasn't an option that we thought of.
What did you think?
Microwave. Yeah.
I don't like using the microwave to heat water up.
No, same. I said that to Catherine. I'm like, I don't like microwave water. I don't know what it is.
I know, it's just not ever quite hot enough, or I don't know. But Keurig takes I just toss some water in there in a tea K-cup. Yeah. That's what I use all the time.
Or you can even use a tea bag, and you don't even have to use. You can just use it to heat up the water.
Can't remember if I've actually. Oh yeah, put a tea bag in the cup, and then I might have actually put a tea bag in the little K cup part before.
Oh,
so that's probably not recommended by the manufacturer. Because I guess if it hits that little sharp thing that cuts a hole on the bottom of the K cup, you got tea leaves all over the place.
Tea leaves.
Oh, okay.
But I also have one of those things, those little baskets that you can use to put stuff in.
I have that too.
Yeah. Probably you could put loose tea in there. But this is like an apple cinnamon herb tea that I'm burning my hands on right now. It smells very good. It smells like hot apple cider. So your body expects hot apple cider, and it's much waterier than hot apple cider, but still, your brain is tricked into thinking that's what it's drinking. So deceptive. But mostly I just wanted the hot cup to put my hands around and then apply to various parts of my body that are freezing. Are you freezing, Catherine? How is it there where you are?
I was freezing until I put on my trusty sweater vest.
The famous sweater vest.
Yes, again.
It is that time of year when the sweater vest comes out for night times.
Yeah. All my cozy, warm stuff, as we discussed last week, is still in my closet, which I have not yet changed over.
Waiting for its...
Oh, please.
Waiting for its time.
I may have whined enough that my daughter's going to do it for me now. I'm working on it.
Ooh, nice.
Except I have to direct.
Nice.
So, and
sorry to break it to you, ladies, but I'm in a t-shirt and shorts, and so on that note,
tell us what it's like to be warm, Nicole. Tell us, is it nice? Is it pleasant?
No,
Do you
I would
enjoy it?
trade places with you in a heartbeat.
Really, but not in your shorts and t-shirt because you would be cold.
No.
Although I don't know. Do you still have your thick Canadian blood, or has it been thinned out by living in LA?
It's still pretty thick. My kids they're just toast. There's no hope for them. They are LA kids through and through. California kids, Southern California kids through and through. They are just so wimpy when it comes to weather. So, yeah.
Aww.
I'm not impressed. Buck up. You're Canadian.
That's right.
Anyway.
Oh, well. Let us warm ourselves by the fire and podcast.
Have a conversation.
And podcast. That's right.
Who's making the s'mores?
Well, I'm doing the intro, so I'll do it. Okay. I'll say, welcome to Parenting Roundabout, a weekly podcast about the things that parents are talking about, obsessing about, and complaining about right now. I'm Catherine Haleko, and with me today are Nicole Aradix, toasty warm in California, and Terry Morrow. You might hear some teeth chattering.
You might.
From her
loud
side.
Sips of tea, I'm sure.
So today on the podcast, we're going to talk about school boards on our Friday speed round. We will hear an interview with occupational therapist Meghan Corridan, and we'll do some shameless self-promotion. But first, we thought we'd do a little chatting about chit-chat.
Yeah, it's been on my mind lately how one teaches a child, or in my case, a young person, to gracefully enter a conversation and to maintain a conversation. my kids both had language delays, and so being part of a conversation has always been a difficult thing. And as they're getting older, they're strengthening their skills, but that is one that still seems to be difficult. My daughter wants to get into conversations. She studied the way people do it. She's come up with figures of speech and stuff, but what happens is she tends to just break into the middle of somebody else's conversation with a completely random observation. The observation itself not being bad, but just... that's not how you do it.
Right.
It's like you have to gracefully merge into the conversation highway. You can't just take a turn across all lanes of traffic. So, I've been wondering how to help with this, because it's, if you comment on some way somebody converses, there's no way to do it without embarrassing them. But at the same time, I mean, if it's annoying to us at home, it's annoying to peers and annoying to coworkers. And I just would like to, maybe there's some way to help with this. And, I've had opportunities to observe adults who also don't seem to get it too much. Long weekend with the family. And, and I have a friend who just always repeats herself during phone conversations, not things she's told me before, but in the same conversation that we're having. And so it's difficult for a lot of people, I think. And even myself, I am concerned as to how I do with this, because I have the uncomfortable experience of editing this podcast and seeing a visual representation of our conversations. And I see you guys have nice blocks of talk and nice blocks of listening, and mine is like a solid bar of sound. Shut up, Terry. Oh my God. So perhaps I could use some pointers for you guys. Have you done anything? How does one converse well? Help me to help my kids.
Well, I think it's hard on the podcast because we can't see each other.
That's true.
So there's no eye contact, there's no body language that could help. Not to say that, that's the only way, but, and that I think would be really hard to teach. Like, what do you do? Like, watch videos of people having conversations, be like, see, right there, that person wants to say something. It's hard. I don't know, because, I have a kid who, knows a lot of facts and likes to share them. And, there's a time and a place for that.
Right.
And it's pretty hard sometimes to determine what is the right time and place. Without, crushing someone's spirit. So, I have a hard time with that too. Like, if you're with the kid or the person, you can maybe work out some little signals or something. Like, okay, let's move on or whatever. But I don't know.
I've been trying hand signals, but then I get a look like, why are you always telling me to shut up? Time out. Let the other person finish talking first, then come in. But even then, if it's completely random, like as you say, with somebody who knows a lot of facts, that seems like it should be a good conversation starter, but only if other people are interested in the same facts you are.
Right, exactly. Right. And also, and I struggle with this myself, say a fact that's different from the other person's fact. Yeah. When is the time to let that information out? And when is the time to just be like, what? I can keep that to myself, and I can personally know I'm right, but I don't need the other person to know they're wrong.
Yeah. I'll just call my friends later and tell them, do you believe what this person said?
Yeah, that one's really hard for certain people in my household. And like I said, it's hard for me. I don't, I certainly know that it's, not very polite to correct people, but
right.
But when someone's flat out wrong.
Yeah. I was just reading your article, Catherine, about conversation starters that you shouldn't use.
Yes.
And looking at them and thinking, well, then how do you do any of this stuff without just coming out and be blunt? I guess that's what you should do are just shut up. These are your options. Either be rude and blunt or shut up. All your graceful entries into the difficult conversation.
I know, right?
People recognize them and know what's coming, and it's like, you're busted.
Well, there were some very subtle examples in there, like the difference between saying I think and I believe.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that sounds very similar, but it does give off kind of a different message. So
It does. It does.
It's tough.
Yeah. As annoyed as I am hearing those things in a conversation, it's really hard not to use them. Because otherwise you feel like you're just being blunt. I don't know. Right. I think we should just all forget conversing altogether and just...
Let's just
only instant message one another.
I don't know. I saw this. There's a lot of sites online, you know, like 101 conversation starters. I don't know. Like sometimes I inadvertently revert back to just a plain old bland conversation starter that I've stored away somewhere.
Give us an example. Start a conversation.
How was your day?
It was cold.
Yeah, it wasn't cool.
I think, know, like...
Well, I think also part of the challenge is not just what to say, but when to say it.
When to say it.
When to say it is difficult.
Right? And especially if you're trying to join in this a conversation that's already underway.
Yeah.
That's really challenging, I think.
Yeah.
And that's something that, I don't know, is it just like about practice? I mean, when I first started working in magazines, you know, right after I graduated from college, I would have to go to a lot of events, you know, press events and things. And I had to learn how to like go to a party without a buddy.
Oh,
you know, because when you're in school, I mean, you rarely would go anywhere without a trusty, you know, what do you call it?
Yeah.
A wingman.
There you go.
But I would have to go to these things by myself often. So I just had to learn to like plunge in and just introduce myself. I mean, that's usually one way that you can start if it's people you don't know. Because otherwise I would just be in the corner the whole time, you know, not participating at all. So it was kind of a trial by fire. But I think that is how I learned to talk to people, to talk to strangers, and to try to join into conversations that were already started. But it's in that you're really depending a lot on the people who are already talking to invite you in.
Yes, that is true.
And if they're not doing that, it's very hard to...
Yeah, it is hard to... Are these conversations with strangers or conversations with people that are known entities? Like...
Well, any of them really are difficult. Even conversations among the family. You don't, you know, if you have two people having a conversation and somebody comes in, and it's not just a matter of waiting till there's a pause in the conversation. It's saying something that's appropriate.
Right.
You know, if you wait till there's a pause and then you say something from out of left field, people are going to be annoyed.
Right.
And it's a lot of it, I think, is knowing how to read the room.
Yeah.
And, you know, are two people having a very close conversation, or are they just generally chatting? If I say something and it doesn't go over well, am I going to recognize that it's not going over well and either shut up or change to something else? I certainly know adults who don't read the room well. Long weekend with family. And and possibly I sometimes don't either. So, which is, of course, then once you start realizing other people don't do it right, you're constantly paranoid about yourself. Did I say that? Let me think over every conversation I've had in the last year. Was I missing something? Were people looking at me and saying, "What are you talking about?"
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I'm not there when my kids are having conversations with coworkers, so I don't know how they're doing. But I got to think that there's times when it's awkward.
Right.
And your daughter has a job where she has to interact with a lot of people.
To some extent, yeah. Yeah. And sometimes she tells me conversations and then I rethink how everything should have been done. No, don't say that. But I know she talks a lot with her coworkers. I don't know how much she talks with the customers as she's bagging their groceries, but I imagine most people talk to the cashier if they're going to talk to somebody.
Right.
But occasionally she said that somebody said something to her that seemed odd, and I don't know what the context of it is, so it's hard to say. But oftentimes I coach my kids through conversations. Yeah. But then I'm not there to read the room either, and I don't know. I just know what they've said, other people said. So it's possible sometimes I hear what they're saying, how what I've told them to say is filtered through their brains, and it's not right. Should I just go with you and just talk for you? It worked so well when you were young. Could I just do it again? But then
they probably wouldn't mind.
They're the weird person with their mother tracking along. So I need one of those like the. I think we've talked about this before, how useful this would be, like they have on crime shows where you got a little thing in your ear and somebody's feeding you things to say. Yeah. And they can hear what the other person is saying. Right. That's what I need.
Yes.
That would be excellent. And then I would be able to do nothing else all day but sit in my little sit in my command center. Maybe I could have like a little van and I could follow them. I could be sitting outside in the van,
Yeah, that wouldn't be creepy at all, Terry.
Probably not the most creepy thing I've done, however.
Any neighbors calling the cops. Just go right along.
Van seems to be following this young person around. I don't know.
Right. I don't know. I think it's hard. I mean, especially because you could try to discuss things afterward, but if you're not there in the first place, and also if the child or adult is not receptive to your wonderful advice and counsel.
Yes, as we have often discussed.
Yeah.
Not so much the case. Well, I guess I could take comfort in the fact that I do see other adults who have difficulty, and maybe everybody's just rolling their eyes at everybody, and it's okay.
I certainly don't think it's limited to kids or kids with language delays, No. It happens with a lot of people, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I think I would rather see somebody who's a good listener as opposed to somebody who takes over the conversation.
Yes.
Yeah. That is annoying.
Yes. This is what I've often tried to persuade my daughter. People will like you if you just sit and listen, as long as you look engaged. Yes. They will be very happy that you don't talk. Just sit there.
Because people want to hear themselves talk, not someone else. Unfortunately.
Yeah.
That's a tough one. I mean, do you think, I don't know, when you're watching TV or something, can you say, I like how they joined in that conversation? I don't know. That feels super, super fake and artificial, but...
There was a time when I could have done that back before we each had our own screen that we go sit in front of individually.
Right.
So that's complicated. But yeah, I always used to like watching TV shows and pointing things out based on that to see how that person did that, or let's talk about it. So I advise people who say, I never let my kid watch TV. You're throwing away a tool there.
Yeah.
There's lots of things you can use to open up conversations. Yeah. But now she watches her YouTube videos, which I have no idea what she's talking about. Oftentimes she'll come up in conversation and mention somebody, and I'm like, oh, who is that? Is that somebody you work with? Oh, no, that's somebody on a video. It's like, it's not real life, but I'll put that conversation off for another time.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to have that conversation.
No.
Do you feel like maybe all the internet stuff now is interfering with people's ability to have conversations? Or do you think it's always been
I think it might be making it harder. And I mean, I know just for myself that I'm so much less comfortable talking on the phone than I used to be.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. I'm not a big phone person anymore.
All right. And it's not even that I'm always uncomfortable. I mean, it's just, there's tons of people that I like to talk to, that I'm happy to talk to in person, but on the phone, I'm like, oh, I don't want to be on the phone. And I don't know why that is, like I said, people I enjoy talking to, people that at one point in my life I would have spent an hour on the phone with regularly.
Yeah, remember
why
that?
Can't I do it
Remember
now?
when we used to spend hours talking on the phone? I can't think of the last time I had that long a conversation. I'm usually trying to get off. And I don't know why. That's interesting.
I mean, part of it I think is just,
Yeah.
general busyness.
Mm-hmm.
But I do feel like some of it is just the phone.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I was having a conversation with a relative, long weekend with family, and she was saying that she only wanted to talk to people on the phone. She didn't like this text messaging. She didn't like the internet messages. She likes to talk to people. And I'm thinking to myself, I don't want to talk to people. I want anything but talking to people. I want to get your voicemail and I want to send you messages on the computer. I don't want to talk. And it's just, I guess, a different, maybe I'm much more into tech than she is or what, but I just felt such a divide. Like, I don't even want to be having this conversation now.
know, it was-
I consider.
It's stressful having to talk, especially
Listen to
I
us.
just remember all
we
the
podcast
Right.
every week, but we wouldn't want to talk
We
on
all
the
record our
phone.
tracks individually, and then I just mix them together.
But
We're actually talking to
Yeah.
ourselves, each of us.
yeah. And don't be offended. I don't think I want to talk to you on the phone. Over podcast is fine.
I don't know. Maybe it's because you don't have to hold the. We're not talking into phones for the podcast. We're just talking into the air, into microphones. It's a little easier. You can do other things with your hands. You can play with your phone. You can hold it.
Well, it doesn't hold you
feet.
up. Like you can still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm gonna be on the phone, I usually can't sit still.
Yeah.
I have to be walking
I do that
around,
too.
or I'll make a call when I'm gonna be in the car or something.
Yeah.
Hands
Yeah.
free in the car,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah. I find myself walking around with the phone in my hand too, and I can't figure out what is with that, but it just seems to. I can't just sit still and do it.
No, I can't either. Well, we drifted a little bit.
Conversations
I
tend
think
to do.
For me, learning how to enter a conversation definitely came from just being forced to do it a whole bunch of times.
That's true. And I hate that. I hate being at events like that and having to do that. But that sort of professional experience is useful and not something that everybody gets a chance to have.
Right.
But
and usually you got a goodie bag by the
Right.
end of the night, so
sometimes there was alcohol, so that would help.
a little reward. Some free shampoo or something.
Here, you had a good conversation. You get some conditioning.
You win this bag of tissue paper.
Maybe that's what I need to do. I need to try prizes. If I like the way you come into this conversation, honey, here's an iTunes card.
Right. Well, what they say about positive reinforcement.
There you go. That's true.
For children and pets.
Well, speaking of places with awkward conversations, we're going to talk about school board meetings in our speed round. Nicole?
Yes, we are. School board meetings. All the years I taught, I've only ever been to one. And it wasn't even because I was acting in my teacher role.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And it was because I was advocating on behalf of a community group. And the reason I never went as a teacher is because, well, I didn't really have a reason to, but I just wasn't ever really that interested. And
for good reason.
The thought of it was just painful. And so the time that I did go, it really was painful. And I'm so glad that I never lost those hours to school board meetings. So that's an hour of my life I'll never get back. So what about, Catherine, I feel like you've been to school board meetings. Something tells me.
I have been to a few.
Yeah.
Yes. I thought about this because there was one in my community tonight regarding the human growth and development curriculum. So you know that was going to be an exciting one.
Yes.
But I did not go to the one tonight because I had 3 other things on the schedule. So that didn't happen.
Thank goodness you didn't.
Yes.
I mean, oh darn.
See, I did send an email.
Did
there
you?
you go. Speaking of conversations, I sent an email. But I've been to a few because my kids' elementary school was a charter school that was still within the jurisdiction of the public school district and had to report into the board occasionally and had to get its charter renewed a couple times or maybe it was only once while my kids were there. But anyway, so I had gone to a couple of meetings regarding that. So, but yeah, I like Nicole. I'm glad that it's not something I do on a regular basis because, and this is why, not that like the sort of parliamentary business is so deadly, even though a lot of times it is. But it's the other people. It's the person who, needs an audience for them to stand up and have some cockamamie theory or, complaint that applies to like only their kid or only their half of a street or whatever it is. And think that everyone else needs to hear it. Like that's and they do have a right to speak. So they get to do that. But yeah, that's the part that no thanks. Yeah. So I'll pass.
And I don't know about you, but these school board meetings are often held in these like really old stuffy rooms.
Yes.
I mean, really,
crowded.
It's just not a place. Terry, I bet you've been to a few.
Well, I was going to say ours are televised, so if you want to find out what they're doing but don't want to go sit in the stuffy room, you can watch it on the public access channel, which I've done a few times. But I have actually been to a number of school board meetings, but only because my kids were being recognized for something. Oh, so, like, my son was in this. Yeah, my son was in this summer work program where they, did jobs around the high school, and then they would go to a school board meeting and get recognized for it, and a certificate and their picture taken with school board members. And so we would go for each of those. And when my daughter was on the bowling team, and they did well, they would be recognized at a school board meeting. So it's great because you would go, you would see the beginning of the meeting, they would call out all the names, your kid would go up there, yay, and then there would be a few moments for everybody to skedaddle. It's like you're now released. And we would go before all the ridiculous stuff started, pretty much. I don't know if I've ever, I might have been there, I don't know if I've ever been to complain about something. Or to be part of a force complaining about something, though I've certainly given my blessings to a couple of times when there was shenanigans going on. But I, would prefer not to be in the room with politicians of any stripe, of any sort, ever. Big, little. So,
yeah.
just as well.
That whole process. Yeah.
Stay away. Unless you're going to give my kids something. And then I'll turn up for that part of the meeting.
Yeah, then I'll be happy to
sidle out into the hallway.
Yeah.
Or generally they gave us a moment and then the whole room emptied out. Couldn't get out of there fast enough.
And they were probably quite fine with that because
I'm sure they were. Yes, they always put us at the beginning of the meetings.
Yep.
So long. Let us go spend your money now. So. Well.
Yeah, no, I always ducked out of those situations where I know when I was teaching, our district had a policy where if your school was having a school board meeting, a teacher representative had to be there. So I always managed to duck out of that. I would often trade recess duty for like a week to get out of those.
Sounds like a good trade.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. They just never really, I never had the feeling that they were positive.
No.
Experiences.
There's always contentious things going on. I know in our town.
Yeah.
Somebody's always upset about something.
Right.
Occasionally it's me.
The feeling that it would be negative towards school in general. So
yes, boring at best, annoying and aggravating at worst. So sounds like a fun evening out.
But better yet, if you could sit at home in front of the TV and watch it.
While doing 5 or 6 other things.
Comments about the people.
Yes, that's
in the privacy of your own home.
That is the way to go, let me tell you.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe somebody at home right now is sitting there and simultaneously listening to our podcast and watching a school board meeting on
It could
TV.
happen.
Well, I'm sure we're much more entertaining than what the sound from the school board meeting would be. So,
yeah. Well, I think that's it for our speed round. Unless we have anything more to say about those fun school board meetings.
No, there's nothing speedy about school board meetings.
No.
So, let's speed out of here.
Exactly.
And remember, you can hear a new speed round every Wednesday through Friday.
That's right. And now we're going to switch to something much more fun and interesting, which is our interview with Meghan Corridan, who's a pediatric occupational therapist. And she joins us regularly, and every year on her blog, MAC&Toys, she does a gift guide, and she has a ton of great ideas on there.
Excellent.
So we're going to get into just a few of them here today. So let's hear from Meghan. Hi, Meghan.
Hi, how are you?
Good. I'm so excited to have you with us today because you have just published a monster, oversized, overstuffed gift guide on your site. So we are going to talk about some of the great things that you found. First up is little things, little goodies, stocking stuffers. Where I live, people do St. Nick, so you have to have a little gift for your kid on the morning of December 6th.
Okay.
Which we found out the hard way. So what's your favorite from this group?
I think my favorite from this group are definitely the plus building toys. They come in these really cute little portable tubes. And they're just these little plastic manipulative toys that you push together. They look like double plus signs, and you can build all kinds of things with them. It can be 3D, it can be flat. Each tube comes with like 70 pieces and a little guide on a couple of things that you can make using those pieces. But the nice thing about them is you can use them to make whatever you want. It doesn't to be limited to just that. So it's great for fine motor skills. It's great for visual perceptual skills and, encouraging creativity and imagination.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, those sound great. Plus tubes, they're called. And then you have a lot of good ideas for really younger kids. Is that what this group is? Yeah,
it's really like 4 and younger, maybe even closer to 3 and younger, because a lot of, there's the skills with a toddler are very different than the older kids. So I really wanted to focus on appropriate toys for those little hands. And my favorite by far from this group are the Peg Friends Stacking Farm and Peg Friends Around the Town. It's like a twist on a traditional pegboard, but instead of, just colored pegs, they have, they're either community helpers or they're animals. And the animals have 2 pieces that you have to match, and then the community helpers have 3 pieces. And then you put them somewhere on the board, and like one of the pegboards is a farm, and the other one is a town. So, with the town, you've got a police officer, and you have to find the police station.
Right.
So it's not only great for increasing grasp strength and manipulation skills. It encourages bilateral coordination. It's great for engaging kids in conversations and developing language skills.
And matching, right? You said you have to match the pieces.
Yeah. So there, you match the colors, but for some kids who are just so structured and routinized, it's fun to just let them do whatever they want with them.
Mm-hmm.
So for some kids, I encourage them to be silly.
Yeah, give the police officer the lower body of a dog or a cow or whatever. Yeah.
So, and
Cute.
the kids love them. They cannot get enough of them.
Fun. That's a good fun twist on like a puzzle, where you have to find the thing and fit it in the hole. This way it gives extra play, it sounds like.
Yeah, it's, I think pet boards are wonderful, but I think kids can outgrow them pretty quickly. They can get bored pretty easily.
Mm-hmm.
So this, I think kids can have their attention on them a lot longer.
Right. Good. Okay. And what book are you recommending out of your several that you've listed?
So this is a tough one, but I think my new favorite book from this year is After the Fall, How Humpty Dumpty Got Back Up Again. And it's basically teaching kids about overcoming fears, being brave, and taking risks. And it uses a character that all the kids know and sort of tells the story of after, Humpty Dumpty fell and he was put back together again, and how he had to be brave and take risks even though he was really scared to.
Mm-hmm.
And it's beautifully illustrated, and I think it's I used it in the meeting house with our kids, and I mean, they wanted me to read it to them again. It's just a great book.
And how old are those kids, the meeting house kids?
They're between 4 and 7.
Okay. So picture book age.
It's a picture book, but it's a really, I think, if you have a child who is afraid or doesn't want to take risks, and I think, any child will appreciate the story.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a good book to have in your library for sure.
Yeah, it sounds like it can definitely go past age 7.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so you also have a lot of ideas for games, kind of board games and other like competitive and collaborative games. So tell us about a special pick from that group.
I think I'm going to go with my new favorite, which is Burger Mania.
Mm-hmm.
They also have one called Pizza Mania, but it's basically like this fast-paced fine motor game where you have to. It comes with a conveyor belt and a bunch of ingredients to make burgers, and you have to use these tweezers to pick up the pieces and put them on the burgers, and follow a picture card and be the first to finish all 10 of your burgers. It's fun. It's a great way to sneak in working on, grasp strength and manipulation skills, visual motor and visual perceptual skills. And it's great for working on executive functioning, focus, attention, organization, and motor planning for older kids. And the best part is having fun while they're doing it. They don't realize that there's this, tremendous amount of therapeutic value behind it.
Yeah, I could even see, my son is 12, and I'm sure that's kind of outside the range, but I could see him enjoying something like that.
I have as much fun playing it as the kids do. I think your son would enjoy it.
Right.
And it's a fun family game.
Yeah.
Because, and I adapt it for the kids that I'm working with. So, the younger kids that I really just want them to work on the grasp strength and stuff like that. I don't have them follow the cards. I just have them put the ingredients on the burgers in order and leave it to that. Try and take away some of the stress that it might cause them.
Very fun. And let's see, what else do you have? You have a bunch of arts and crafts items and activity books.
Yes.
What would you single out from there?
I think in this one, I really, really like the Arts and Crafts Library by a company called Kids Made Modern. And I like it because it's open-ended. It gives all these little art pieces. It comes in a really, really nice carrying case. It's all organized. And, I think kids, during the day in school, they have so much structure and routine, and the expectations are just so, that I like that it encourages them to be creative and think outside of a box and do whatever they want. And at the same time, it's working on fine motor skills, creativity, imagination, and increase confidence and self-esteem.
Right. And it's just a nice collection of all these different supplies and all neatly organized in this box. That's really nice.
I have a huge supply of art. A huge collection of art supplies, and it's like thrown in a bag, and they often get used because you just get too distracted and frustrated.
Right.
So this is really nice.
Yeah. Very cool. All right. Let's see. Oh, and you have more. You have construction and building toys.
Yes. I think my favorite from this are definitely the OffBits. It takes like little extra screws and nuts and bolts, and you have to turn them into robots or vehicles.
Oh, okay.
It's they're very tiny, so you can take them on the go. And I think the kids just have a really fun time building with them. I don't always make them follow the directions. I let them just play with the pieces and see where their imagination takes them.
Mm-hmm. So this is for an older kid, you said, because their pieces are pretty small.
Yeah, I've done it with some 6-year-olds. They require some help, but definitely if you have an older kid that's into building and construction, and you're looking for something a little different than like the typical Legos or this is a nice thing to add to your collection. Yeah,
it sounds very cool. Very different from from stuff we've already seen. And another thing, this is like from back in the day when I used to have my site on Family Fitness. I was always looking for toys that were either outdoor toys or just physical activity type of toys. So you've got some ideas for that, and let us know what one of the good ones, or they're all good. one of the exciting ones you're most excited about.
I really like the Jump Leap Crazy Feet carpet. It's like a hopscotch board, except that it's not. It has 3 different kinds of games you can play. One of them is called Crazy Feet, and if you look at the mat, it's got feet in all different directions, and you have to look at the feet and jump and orient to your body to the way the feet are, which is great for motor planning and organization and coordination. And just getting your kids up and moving. Another game you can play with it is called Long Leap, which is just to see how far you can jump. And it's got numbered boxes, so they can keep challenging themselves to see how far they can go and beat their own record.
And it's like an actual carpet that you can just kind of roll up when you're not using.
Right. It can be thrown right into a closet, go under a bed. I mean, it doesn't have to take up a lot of space, which is, living in New York City, you're always looking for stuff like that.
Right. Very cool. Well, I want to just encourage our listeners to go to Megan's blog at MAC&Toys.blogspot.com, because we just scratch the surface here of some of the stuff that she's picked out. So thanks, Megan, for coming and talking to us about all these great finds.
Thank you for having me, and happy shopping.
Yeah, happy holidays. All right, bye, Megan.
Bye.
So everybody's ready to shop now for all the small children in here. Well, not even just small children, but
yes.
Yeah, so Megan always has tons of ideas, and we appreciate her sharing them.
Us. And now for our final segment today, we're going to do a little shameless self-promotion and direct you to some things on our sites that we think you should take a look at. Catherine, what you got this week?
Well, I was going to mention the piece
I
that
already
you
plugged it.
mentioned. Yeah. It's funny. It's a piece about, 10 phrases you shouldn't use to think twice before starting a sentence with these phrases or something.
Mm-hmm.
And, I wrote it, and I did a little crowdsourcing on Facebook, and I also did a couple interviews. And so it came together pretty easily, but it got a pretty good response. Like, a lot of people seem to like it. So
Good.
Yeah.
I am sharing it.
I enjoyed the crowdsourcing on that you did on Facebook.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yes.
Got off on tangents, but it was still fun.
Right. I mean, I am always, it's so nice. Like, people don't realize, how helpful it is, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So I appreciated that.
Excellent.
Yeah. So that's
Nicole?
on Reader's Digest.
Okay. Nicole, what you got?
Yeah, so I'm not sure exactly when it's going up. The time has not been confirmed, but I did another article for the Friendship Circle of Michigan. So it's up on their it will be up on their website, and it's 7 websites that I found that will help parents and help children, will just reinforce skills that are being taught in the Common Core. So,
Okay.
particularly helpful, I think, for kids who learn differently and learn in unique ways, because the sites all offer different ways of learning, from printable worksheets to music videos to online games, and they all address skills that are taught in the Common Core. So, yeah, and so just keep checking out Friendship Circle in Michigan, because
It'll be there
Sooner
eventually.
or later, it will
it'll
show
be
up.
there in the next week.
There was a time when you knew somebody who could say exactly when it was going up,
I
but that is no
know.
longer the case.
I'm missing that connection. Trust.
Yeah. Too bad.
Yeah.
Well, partially because of that, I really have not put anything up anyplace this week, but so I'll do some shameless self-promotion of this podcast, because it's what all the cool podcasters are doing, which is to say, go on iTunes and give us a rating, because it will help more people find us and also make us feel good, and that's a nice thing to do.
Yes.
And we'll mention you. We'll say, look, we got a comment from this person, and thank you personally on this very podcast. And another thing that you can do for us, we are constantly looking for speed round topics. Every week we get together and we have to bang our heads against the wall and look around our rooms for clues to have a question about. So if you have any cool speed round questions you would like us to answer, please let us know about them on Twitter or on our Facebook page or on the comments at parentingroundabout.com. Any old where will be just fine. We sure would like to get them. And if we answer them, we'll say thank you to you right here.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Yeah.
Good. Well, I think that's it for this week's episode of Parenting Roundabout. We hope you enjoyed it and that you'll join us every week. You can listen to podcast episodes on parentingroundabout.com or download them from Apple Podcasts. Please subscribe so you get all of our podcasts and mini podcasts. You can also follow us on Twitter, where I am at Nicole Erdix, Terry is at Mamatude, and Catherine is at C. Haleko. You can also follow the podcast on Twitter at Roundabout Chat, and look for us on Facebook, Pinterest, Tumblr, YouTube, and Instagram too. Best of all, stop by our podcast page at parentingroundabout.com and read recaps, find links on all the stories we mentioned, and talk back in the comments. Thanks to John Moran at johnjmoran.com for providing our in and out music, and I wish everyone a great week.